Let's talk about the story of us, the human story. For a long time, we've been told it began in certain places with certain people. But what if the map we've been using is incomplete? What if a huge part of our shared history, the very engine of civilization, has been left in the shadows? Today, we're going to turn on the lights and look at the real, incredible story of Africa not as a footnote, but as the headline. Long before the first cities of Europe or Asia rose, long before written history as we know it, humanity was already thriving in Africa. This wasn't a primitive, simple existence. This was a world of innovation. Imagine this, almost 90,000 years ago, along the coasts and rivers, communities were already practicing organized fishing. They weren't just surviving, they were strategizing. They crafted specialized tools, worked together, and understood the rhythms of the natural world. Think about that for a moment. That level of cooperation and foresight is the bedrock of any society. And it didn't stop there. Tens of thousands of years later, in what is now southern Africa, people were mining. They weren't just scratching the surface. They were digging deep into the earth for iron and precious minerals. This required planning, mathematics, and a grasp of engineering that is simply staggering for its time. These were the world's first industrial minds at work. These early societies were scientists. They were doctors. They experimented with plants, discovering natural remedies that, in principle, weren't far from modern antibiotics. They were astronomers, looking up at the vast African sky, mapping the stars and planets. This wasn't just for wonder, it was practical. Their celestial knowledge guided their farming seasons, their long-distance travel, and their spiritual lives. This knowledge wasn't lost. It was passed down, generation after generation, not just through myths and stories, but through careful observation and practice. Africa wasn't a single, uniform place. It was a vibrant mosaic of civilizations, each with its unique art, its own systems of governance, and its own remarkable innovations. This was the true dawn of human ingenuity. As centuries passed, this foundation gave rise to some of the most powerful and sophisticated kingdoms the world has ever seen. Let's journey to West Africa, to the Mali Empire. Here, we meet Mansa Musa, a ruler whose name is often associated with incredible wealth. And yes, there was gold, lots of it. But his true legacy was built on something far more valuable: knowledge. Mansa Musa wasn't just a king, he was a patron of learning. He understood that a great empire is built on educated minds. On his legendary pilgrimage to Mecca, a journey that made him famous across North Africa and the Middle East, he didn't just display his wealth, he invested it. He funded scholars, built libraries, and sponsored universities. Ideas about mathematics, geography, and astronomy flourished under his reign. He even supported discussions about the Earth being a sphere, at a time when that idea was far from universally accepted. Now, let's travel northeast, to the kingdom of Kush. Here, we encounter a queen, a Kandake named Amanirenas. She was a leader of immense courage and brilliant military strategy. When the mighty Ramang Empire, the superpower of its day, tried to expand its territory into her lands, she didn't bow. She organized a fierce and effective resistance. She personally led her armies into battle and successfully defended her kingdom's independence, forcing the Romans to negotiate a peace treaty. She proved that power wasn't just about size, but about will and strategy, and there were so many others. In Central Africa, Queen Nzinga of Ndongo and Matamba stands as a testament to diplomatic genius and tactical brilliance. Faced with the relentless pressure of European colonial expansion, she spent decades defending her people's sovereignty. She was a master negotiator, playing rival European powers against each other, and a skilled military leader when diplomacy failed. Her life was a masterclass in leadership against overwhelming odds. Meanwhile, the Songhai Empire, under rulers like Sani Ali and Askia Muhammad, governed a vast territory, larger than Western Europe. They created a complex system of administration, balanced traditional spiritual beliefs with organized governance, and turned cities like Timbuktu into legendary centers of learning. Timbuktu wasn't some mythical, remote outpost. It was a bustling metropolis where scholars from across the world came to study law, science, literature, and medicine. Its libraries held hundreds of thousands of manuscripts. Now, why is it so important to know these stories? Because for too long, the popular narrative of Africa has been tragically incomplete. Often, the story is told as if it begins with the trauma of enslavement and colonialism. But that chapter, as devastating as it was, represents only a fraction of a much, much longer and richer history. For millennia before European ships arrived, African societies were advancing in every field imaginable. They were pioneering agriculture, domesticating crops that now feed the world. They were masters of architecture, building incredible structures from the pyramids of Egypt and Nubia to the Great Zimbabwe. They were advancing medicine and trade, with complex networks that crossed the continent and connected to Asia and the Middle East. The destructive idea of racism, the idea that one group of people is superior to another, did not originate in Africa's true past. It was a tool, developed much later to justify economic exploitation and colonialism. By ignoring Africa's deep history of civilization, this false narrative was allowed to take root. And the story doesn't end at the continent's shores. Africa's influence has been a part of European history for centuries, even if it's often been overlooked. During the medieval period, the Moors, a diverse group of North African Arabs and Berbers, brought a renaissance of knowledge to southern Europe. They introduced advanced mathematics, including the numerals we use today, breakthroughs in medicine and astronomy, and architectural styles that still inspire awe in Spain and Portugal. Later, during the Enlightenment, brilliant individuals of African descent like Ignatius Sanko in London became influential figures. Sanko was a composer, a writer, and a political commentator whose letters offer a unique and powerful perspective on the era. He was a respected intellectual, woven into the very fabric of European culture. These aren't isolated examples. They are part of a shared history that has been conveniently forgotten. So, what happens when we put these missing pieces back into the puzzle? A completely different picture of our world emerges. Africa was never a dark continent waiting to be discovered. It was one of humanity's great engines of progress. Its civilizations weren't just local curiosities. They helped shape global science, politics, and culture long before many modern nations even existed. Understanding this history doesn't diminish the achievements of any other culture. It doesn't take anything away from anyone. Instead, it adds truth. It adds depth. It adds a necessary and profound respect to the one story that belongs to all of us. The story of humanity. By acknowledging Africa's central role, we're not rewriting history. We're finally telling the whole story. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. If you found this perspective valuable, please like, subscribe, and share this video. Let's keep learning together. See you next time.